So before I embarked on this project, I did a lot of research. I went to Southeast Asia, I looked at how their collection methods worked, looked at the farms, the sea cages and those kind of systems. And it just felt wrong. Inside of me, deeply inside me, said you cannot be doing this on your shores. And the indiscriminate way that they collected lobsters that had already broken through so many risk phases. I wanted a system that would collect them in the highest possible mortality window. So we developed a trap where only the smallest lobsters could get inside it, and then once inside it they were safe from predators, and they would come in the millions, and many of them wouldn't find anywhere to settle. 1 in 1,000 of these lobsters would find something, they would settle, and then they would begin the next phase of their life cycle. So if we could collect in areas with very, very low mortality. So we wouldn't put collectors in an area like this, because wild lobsters could find somewhere amongst the mangroves where they could live. So we pick a bay which has got a muddy bottom, because a pureli that's floating in the current, he can't decide where he's going. The current's going to push him there. And as he's coming through in the current, sees one of our collectors that has everything he needs in it for life, grabs hold of it, crawls through one of the crevices, settles onto the collector mesh inside, where there is an abundance of food. The biofilm that grows on the collectors is the first part of their feeding cycle, and that's why they change in colour from clear glass to the darker, more lobster colours that we've seen on the small pureli. And then we wanted a really simple system to collect them. Fishermen need to be able to get out in any weather. They need to be safe, and traditional wild lobster fishing is out at sea, deep water, heavy pots, dangerous, expensive boats. So one of our fishermen can use a small boat with a small winch using light plastic traps. No risk of losing their fingers, no risk of heavy traps swinging on and getting injured. And they're in protected, sheltered areas. There's always some wind in the Caribbean. There's a few days when there isn't, but there's always some wind. So there's always a little bit of chop. And so when the guys are collecting, the tire, and it was really simple technology. There's an abundance of tires here. Rather than burning them, we can use them for anchors. We put a concave concrete block inside it. We mold the block, has a piece of chain, drops to the bottom and sticks to the ocean floor. Doesn't move. We tested probably 20 other anchoring methods. Most of them failed. And that was something that Richard Land, as soon as he arrived, said, I can anchor these for you and they won't move. With the winch system, we lift them off the floor, the collectors come in, they unclip them, and very quickly they can give them a shake. The lobsters drop into the cup at the bottom. They can take out any bycatch, small fish or crabs or anything that we don't want into the system, sort them, put them into a cooler with fresh water in it, with baffles so they're protected on their way back, and that's it. They can go through 300 to 400 of those collectors a day. The highest number of pureli we've had in a collector is 75. The highest collection they've had is 2,800 in a morning. The time and expense of collecting adult lobsters in traps to get those kind of volumes, the economies of scale just don't work. You collect those pureli in the high mortality window, you take them to the farm, you have an 80–90% survival rate rather than a 1 in 1,000 survival rate. You feed them with a sustainable source of food, and in 12 months they go from something the size of your fingernail to something that restaurants all around the world want to stick on a plate. You know, that's the business model.